Awesome. Thank you so much, Leslie. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for making time on a Wednesday night to learn more about job searching. I am just going to share my screen 1 second, and then we can get started. Sorry, my computer's freezing. Maybe try. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Okay, can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, again, welcome everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how you can find the right job for you by using LinkedIn and AI. And just high level, what we'll be going over, I'll quickly just discuss kind of what my career journey has looked like and how I've used this career framework. Then we'll jump into the three different sections where, we'll be building a North Star, setting our focus, automating and optimizing the search. And then I'll leave a little bit of time for QA, next steps, and then also share some one-on-one coaching that I do offer to people if anyone's interested. But throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in. You don't have to wait to the end. I want this to be a conversation and everyone get the most out of this discussion, because the job search process can be a lot of things. So I'm here to answer any questions that anyone might have. So before I keep going, is there any questions, anything? Okay, perfect. Okay, so a little bit about me. So I actually right now live in New York, but I did go to Temple University and I studied advertising and business. To be honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college. I just knew I wanted to solve problems and work with groups of people. So I went for advertising, and it was a great choice because then I was able to study abroad, and I actually had the internship. I was an international digital marketing intern where I helped and owned US sites for a company. And I was the only US person there. And I had never done digital marketing in my life, but they were like, let's just go for it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try. So I learned search engine optimization and paid search there. And when I came back to the US, I had one more year of college. So I actually ended up taking courses in digital marketing. But then I also Googled digital marketing agencies in Philadelphia, and I came across Sierra Interactive. So I interned there for a little bit. I learned everything about SEO, paid search, analytics, you name it. I kind of just jumped in and wanted to learn. And I was at Sierra for about 3.5 years, and I left by being the chief of staff to the CEO and the VP of innovation, where I was actually able to create net new service lines and offerings to our clients. But it really helped me, jump into all the different types of parts of the business. So I was part of HR. I was, meeting with clients on calls. I was trying to pitch deals, and I wore a lot of different hats, which, is great. A great thing about startups. So if you were to do a startup, I highly do recommend it because you are able to learn so much. But from that experience, I did learn that I loved product and I wanted to keep learning more about product. But I actually built the product team at Sierra Interactive for people that were like off seas. And I wanted to learn in my day to day. So that's what made me jump to Comcast, which is a telecom company in the US. And I joined as an innovation product strategy manager so I could learn all things product. And it was really cool because we were a consulting team that worked kind of across all the business lines of Comcast. So Comcast has internet, streaming, mobile, and even security. No one really knows about that one, but they do security. And I was able to solve business problems across the company. And again, continue to learn and figure out what I liked about my role and where I wanted to grow for my next role. So then that is why I jumped to Amazon, where I was actually specifically on the AWS team, which is kind of like their cloud data company. And I became a strategy and operations program manager. So from Comcast, I learned I loved product, but then I realized I didn't want to be a product manager in my day to day. So I switched careers again, became a program manager, and continued to work in the product space and help more so run the operations of the team to ensure that we were working on the most impactful projects, and then also sharing those updates to leadership so they knew the value that we were bringing. And that was really great too. I learned a lot. I actually moved to New York for that job, so that was very exciting. But from that experience, I learned I wanted to test the idea of working on a product that I personally use in my day to day. Because AWS is fun, but I wasn't using that as a customer. So that's why I moved to Chase to kind of test this idea. And now I'm the VP of Business Strategy and Operations for the rewards team. So if you have a Chase credit card, I do run the engineering team for rewards. So you have points and you're trying to travel. I work with the people that really build the back end of that within the app and the web space. And it's so much fun. And again, it was such a growing experience because from Amazon, I was managing a team of about 13 people, and now I manage a team of about 300. So it's again, just always learning and taking on new roles to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And I was able to do all of these roles, and I'll continue to do more because of the framework that I'm about to show you. I've developed it over the past 5 to 7 years, and I've shared it with so many friends and family. And I love just helping people get the dream job that they want. So I'm very excited to jump in. But before I do, does anyone have any questions about, career switches, product, or anything about my career? No? Okay, perfect. And I cannot give people any credit cards. That's a common thing when people find out I work for Chase, but that unfortunately I can't do. So anyway, so let's jump into the career framework. So for the first step, there's 3 that I'll be going over today. We wanted to build your North Star. I came up with this kind of cliche word because when I was working through my job search process, I would constantly just kind of get lost. I would be like, there's so much going on. I really want a job. So, but then I'd be like, is this truly the job for me? And I would go back and forth. So I decided to call this one document my North Star document. So whenever I did feel lost in the process, I knew exactly where to go to. So if we go into a little bit more detail, your North Star document will guide you through your job search journey by clearly defining the type of company you want to work for, the people you want to work with, and the skills you want to grow with your day-to-day responsibilities. It will also include your current priorities and career goals to ensure you are planning for your future roles. Now, this seems like a lot, and the trick here is that you actually don't have to have the answers to all of these questions. It's just starting to ask yourself these questions. And as you continue to grow in your career, you'll be able to start to add in more answers. And it's pretty exciting because when you take a step back and you look at the worksheet or your North Star document, you see how much you've grown and where you want to continue to grow for your future. So let's dive in a little bit to these 3 sections. So you want to define your career needs. You want to start by asking yourself questions about who you are today and where you want to grow. And I break this down into 4 things. So company, you want to ask yourself, what company size, like how many employees are at these companies? What is the maturity? Do you see yourself at, a startup or a big tech company? Do you agree with their mission, product, service? And is it an industry that you're passionate about or, just even interested about? And then people, it's really in the beginning, if you are looking for an internship or a full-time job, you will learn the preferred manager style that you're looking for. So it's totally okay if you don't know, but maybe just understanding, you want a manager that is more holding your hand or one that will let you run with things. And then you kind of come back and share feedback. There's tons of different types of managers, but just starting to ask yourself, what helps you grow and really succeed in the workspace. You can also consider team size. And then my favorite is if you want to be an individual contributor versus a people manager. I have always been an IC so far. I'm very excited for the next opportunity where I will be able to be a people manager. But an IC is more so you don't have anyone reporting directly to you as managing their career and everything. You're more so managing products and projects. But people manager, you're able to really, grow a team and help them grow in their career as well. So that's something I actually, for my next role in my North Star, I will be adding that as a top priority for when I move forward. And then skills, you want to think about the skills you want to learn and explore, and responsibilities as well. What do you want to focus on in your day-to-day that lights your fire? Again, kind of cliche, but I found when you're testing new, roles or responsibilities, and it's those days where you're working and you don't even remember that it's already 5 o'clock and you're like, how did that happen? And I think it's just being in that flow and finding those day-to-day tasks that you have that experience. That's what you want to go after, and try to find a role that creates those opportunities to be able to go into flow. So I'll stop there. Any questions about, thinking about today and where you want to grow?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I heard you say that maybe you don't need to know the answers to all of these different sections so far. Are
Mhm.
there any that you would point out that people should try to start with?
Great
Um,
question.
just
Yeah,
that might have more of an impact and might lead them down the path faster.
definitely. No, that's such a great question, Leslie. I would recommend definitely just more high level thinking about maybe company size or maturity, because that is uh, a huge indicator of the type of role that you're stepping into. For company size, if it's a smaller company and a startup, if you take on a role, it more so will be probably you wearing a lot of hats. Like if that's something that you're interested in and you're ready to learn and really dive in and give a lot of your time, then maybe definitely think about that. But what if you want to go more so big tech and it's a more mature company? They've been around for years. They have processes for absolutely everything and more. So it's more so like the infrastructure that you're joining. I think those two are really big. And then your skills and responsibilities, I would prioritize as well. And it could be even like you love to set up meetings or you love to talk to customers. It could be very high level. It doesn't have to be granular, but that will be like some really great starting points when you begin this process.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great question. Okay, then we'll move on to the next slide. So prioritize career factors. One of my old mentors actually brought this up to me when I was switching to Comcast. And throughout your life and throughout your career, you're going to have these factors. And these are just four simple ones of that you'll want to prioritize based off where you're at in your life. So this is an example as I put in like 50, 20, 10, and 20. Like these are absolutely just an example, but it's up to you to decide where you're at in your life. If one, you want to prioritize education, this could be something for someone coming right out of college and they are ready to learn and just take in everything because they just came out of school. Or compensation, you want to think about, and this is also just a side note through the interview process, you always want to have a minimum and a maximum for your total comp or your salary that you're looking for. That way you're never caught off guard in the interview process if someone were to ask you that question, but you build this number based off of knowing your budget or your current financial goals. So it's a very personal thing, but it can be okay that at one point in your career, you're like, you know what, I actually do want to make a lot more money. And then maybe at some point in your other part of your career, you'll be like, no, I'm ready to learn actually, or take on a growth opportunity. And when I say growth opportunity, these are kind of like stretch exercises when you take on a role, or maybe you don't actually have enough experience, but you know that you have like the drive and the passion to learn and really stretch yourself in that position. And then last but not least is relationships. So meeting mentors and sponsors, you can join a company and really want to prioritize networking. Like, this company has like really strong foundation of like a network that you can build your career off of. That is totally okay too. So these will always fluctuate, but just keep in mind, like when you are starting the process, because when you go back to your North Star document and you see this, you'll be like, well, what is really important to me right now? And this will always like kind of ground you when you're going through the process. Any questions on this?
I was just gonna make a comment that this is super duper helpful. I think even from like a management perspective,
True.
thinking about like when you're talking to new hires and onboarding someone is really trying to understand what their priorities are and then being able
Yeah.
to adjust how you're working with them based off
Yeah.
of what their priorities are. So I'm writing this down also from like a management perspective of I want to know how to actually understand, what the priorities are with those that I manage. So fantastic.
No, I absolutely love that. And with the North Star document, it's been really fun even for myself throughout the years to see it switch. And it's like, oh wow, like I remember when this was more my priority, but now it's different. So you just see that growth over time, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, I love that idea for managerial as well, just to make sure everyone's like feeling that they're growing. Okay, perfect. I can continue. So, and then we always want to be thinking about the future. So, brainstorm about your career goals. And actually, another mentor of mine, in my latest job search before I joined Chase, they're like, Megan, it's not about this next role that you're getting. You're actually preparing yourself for the role that you have in 5 years. So, I always want to challenge myself and others around me to really always think about where do you want to be like far out. And personally, for me, I know, and that this is right now, and life always changes. Like growing up, I wanted to be a librarian, but now I know I want to be a COO. So I go out of my way to find ways to, how do I become the best COO? What positions can I hold or teams can I join to gain enough perspectives or add skills to my toolkit that I can be that person? So I look into future titles. What title do you want to have 5-10 years from now? That future skill set, even the future companies. I have like a dream top 5 companies always, but challenge yourself to ask yourself why, because sometimes maybe you're not choosing the dream company for the right reason. Like make sure it's tied back to your values and where you want to grow, not just because it sounds cool. I mean, sometimes mine do sound cool, but you really want to go after companies that will help you grow and get that title that you're looking for. And then even location. So where do you want to work? And now in this post-COVID world, we have the option to work remotely, hybrid, or in the office fully. So really considering that, because when you go into the process for looking for the jobs, with whether it's going to be LinkedIn, ChatGPT, or the other AI tools I'm going to share today, that's going to be a top question that's asked. And a lot of employers, it's one of their top priorities as well. So making sure you have a good sense of where you want to be location-wise and also physically for when you're working. Awesome. Any questions with future goals? And we'll dive into a little bit more detail here of like how we'll use this part in the AI tools as well. Okay, we keep going. Okay, so yay, we made it to step 2. So I know step 1 seems kind of like a lot. And like I said, you don't need all of the answers right now. It's just beginning to ask yourself these questions. But then when you start to build that strong foundation, it starts to get really fun because now you have all these insights and you have this data and you know what you're looking for. So it's time to set your focus. So with all these insights pulled together in your North Star document, you want to start conducting research on LinkedIn and ChatGPT to better understand which companies have roles that match your priorities and goals and create a list of those titles. After completing this research, you should have a list of 3 to 5 consistent role titles to help you automate your search. I'm not sure if anyone else has experienced this so far, but at least for me, when I go into the job search process, I find that companies kind of create like these crazy titles. Like I'm like, what is that title that someone else will call the same thing, but every company kind of comes up with their own. So you have to be strategic in the way that you approach this. And that's why the North Star document is so crucial, because it will be the foundation that you need. And really, when you're going up against all these like interesting titles that can be out there, you'll know what you're looking for at the end of the day. And then you'll create this short list to, again, just confirm and help bring you to your focus and where you want to go. So the 2 tools that I always go to are LinkedIn and ChatGPT. So for LinkedIn, I will search, certain key terms. And Leslie, this is kind of going back to your first question around where should you really start. And this is why I prioritized responsibilities and skills, is because you can plug in these key terms to begin to find like these titles because of those skills, because LinkedIn will be able to pull that from the job descriptions. And that again will help you start to begin to find your title. You'll also, again, want to include location. You'd also want to look into, and this is actually, I do this way too much. It's too fun for me. But as I said, I wanted to be a COO. So I do research in the way that I'll look up COOs at dream companies of mine, and I'll look at what jobs did they have? Like, how have they gotten to where they are today? And the greatest thing about this is that you learn that truly there is no right path. Like everyone gets to where they are today, and it can be any background, any job, but it really opens up your like perspective to be like, oh, I never thought like that type of role could help you get there. But it's a kind of a creative exercise that I really enjoy doing. And then if you're even really looking to try something new, you can even write them a message and ask them more, set up a call for an informational call. But I've always enjoyed doing that, and it can help you really grow your current day goals to hit your future goals. And this is in the same, going to your dream companies page on LinkedIn, you're able to search within their jobs tab the key terms as well, because people can add key terms into their headline. And you can find even more people that maybe don't have your dream title that you thought you wanted, but they're in the same working space. And again, just a creative exercise. And then if we jump to ChatGPT, I use this so much in my last job search. ChatGPT was my job search BFF. I constantly was going there every day to confirm what I was doing was correct. So I wrote out all my skills and responsibilities that I wanted to do, and I would ask ChatGPT, what type of job title does this type of person do? And it would come up and confirm, the strategy and operations manager that I wanted to be. I did that with the skills. I did that even with location. So like specifically to New York. And then the future role title as well, asking ChatGPT, what do COOs do today, or what title do they have, to really like kind of like double check myself from my LinkedIn research as well. And this can be very quick. It doesn't have to be long. You don't have to answer all of these questions. I just always love to, test different ideas to ensure that the 3 to 5 titles are consistent and match with where I want to go. So I'll stop there. Step 2 is pretty quick, but it's a pretty good one to have those titles. Okay, and then we can jump to, we're already at step 3, guys. This is amazing. See, it's pretty simple. So now that we've done, again, the hard work, we have our insights, we have our titles. So now it's really time to automate your search. Now with these key attributes that you have, you want to be able to leverage LinkedIn, AI tools, and your network to find the right next opportunity for you. Automation is key to decreasing burnout and managing the balance of the job search process. There can be good days with job searching and there can be bad days. So you want to have as much, support and tools out there to really help you get through this and find the right job for you. So my go-to, as I've already spoken to, are LinkedIn, ChatGPT. There's actually a newer tool called Teal, and then I utilize my network. And we're going to dive into each of these specifically for how you can use them to optimize and automate. Actually, before we jump in, has anyone heard of Teal? I'm just curious. No?
I didn't know that we had a new one that, is up in the market. I mean, I know ChatGPT is still something that like people are trying to figure out what it even is and what it even does. So I might have to go research that because now I'm intrigued as to what this is.
Yes, well, don't worry. I'll go over in the slide. I was just curious because in my last job search, I came across, it was very new. So I'm excited to see if anyone else had been using it. So if we jump into LinkedIn and ChatGPT, and also just to backtrack with ChatGPT, it is a free tool. They have a paid version, but you can easily use the free tool to ask basically questions and it will immediately send you answers. You can sometimes, you can ask like more up-to-date questions because they pull information, I think, back from 2020, I believe. So sometimes the information isn't always up to date, but it will warn you if that ever comes up. But it's an amazing tool to be able to ask any types of questions, and it will remember the questions that you ask. So as we go through this, you'll understand that ChatGPT basically learns from what information or questions you're asking, and it makes its answers better and better to give you a better output. So first things first, we want to start with automation. So of course, with LinkedIn, you want to turn your open to work on. There are 2 options with this. You can do for recruiters. So only people with the recruiter title on LinkedIn can see that you're open to work, or you can open it up publicly and you'll have like on your little circle, an open to work sign. I've done it. I had actually a lot of great experience with it, but I know it is a personal preference, whatever you're comfortable with. But when you do go in the back end and update that, you're going to be able to see, it's going to actually ask you what titles are you interested in? Check, we got that done. It's going to ask you location. We already know what location. And it'll also ask you if you want to be remote, hybrid, or at work full time. So again, all that work that we did in the beginning, you just plug and play into here, and it automatically helps people understand what you're looking for and where. And when you do this, LinkedIn will also give you the opportunity to set up detailed job alerts. So you can keep living your best life, and LinkedIn will start sending you specific jobs that match everything that we built in the North Star document. And I definitely want to emphasize the detailed part because LinkedIn obviously gets so many jobs posted on. The more detailed you are in setting up your notifications, the higher quality leads you'll receive in your inbox. And I actually always have these on. I never turn them off, even when I do have my new job. I'm always curious, what else is out there. So it's always good to keep on. And I will be sending this this deck out. So these links are to specific articles of really how to do this. It's very quick and easy, but of course, like I just want to provide as much resources as possible so you can set this up for yourself. And then when it comes to optimization of your LinkedIn, you can utilize ChatGPT a lot. So first, not with ChatGPT, you want to update your profile photo and your background photo. You want to make sure that your profile is up to date. And in the background, obviously something that maybe is tied to your industry or your work. I classically, anyone can go to my LinkedIn, you'll see I just have one of the basic LinkedIn options. I think it's really cute. I was like, wow, LinkedIn's doing great with their backdrops. So I use that, but again, it's a personal preference. And then with your bio, you can actually use ChatGPT to write your bio for you. So the way you do this is that there is a prompt and it's linked here, but you will ask ChatGPT to write you a LinkedIn bio up to 200 words based off of, and then you can copy and paste your resume. And then I even copy and paste my North Star document so that ChatGPT has all the information. It knows my actual background of what I've worked on, and then exactly where I want to go now and for the future. So it will craft this like beautiful bio in seconds. And then you can even ask it to make it better. You can be like, actually, can you make it sound a little bit more like this is a like empathetic, or someone that's like really eager about product. You can really ask it to write in a certain even specific tone, and it will keep immediately just reiterating on it until you have the perfect bio for you. And that can be done in seconds. And then the same can be done for your headline. Again, there is a specific prompt in this article that you'll be like, can you, hi ChatGPT, can you write a headline for me? And you'll see in many articles, there's a lot of different perspectives of what a headline should be on LinkedIn, but really you want to have keywords very simple and clean in your headline, because with the bio that you're updating and the headline, LinkedIn has a backend for recruiters, and they search for specific terms. So the more that you're using these key terms in your bio and your headline, you're going to be picked up more higher up in their system as an option for a job. And then last but not least, I learned this very recently, you can actually add up to 50 skills in your LinkedIn profile. It can only go to 50. I know we probably all have a lot more, but if you just stick to 50 and you tie it back to the key terms of the jobs you want and your resume and your North Star document, again, it's just like, it's this algorithm on the back end of LinkedIn. It'll just push your profile up for recruiters. And I specifically want to call a trick that I have screenshotted here. You can't see the specific wording. Let me move you guys to the side. But if you go to any job description in LinkedIn, you'll see this section that says skills. You can actually click on 8 more. When you click on 8 more, it will show you all the skills that this recruiter has specifically put in for this job. And it will tell you if you have these skills on your profile or not. So I just went into I went to honestly all the jobs that I was looking for, and I clicked, it's really easy. It says add to your profile. So I just started adding to my profile, and then I quickly got up to 50, but that way I knew I was trying to target as much as I could, so the algorithm was on my side and recruiters would see my profile more for matching to this. So it's a little surprising because there isn't like a line here. It doesn't tell you, oh, click here. So it's just a little trick that I've recently learned, and it's truly helped a lot. And I continue to update my skills all the time based off what I'm learning, even in my job now or where I want to go next. So it's not a forever thing. You can easily update them, but it just helps with the algorithm. So I will pause there. Are there any questions, around LinkedIn or ChatGPT?
Hi. So it's interesting because the moment you started talking about all of this, I am currently in my job search process
Nice.
because I graduated in May with my master's.
Congrats.
Thank you. So I did the exact same steps, except like that last tip you talked about where you talked about like adding the skills. So I didn't know about that trick because
Yeah.
I was always like, okay, I was hoping always that I match some of them
Yes.
based on the positions I'm looking for. But that is actually interesting because that will definitely make it well, on the recruiter's profile show that, oh, this candidate has all the skills you want.
Exactly. They'll
So
be like, this is perfect.
yeah, so that's great. So yeah, it's lovely to like see that trick, and I'm definitely going to be using it.
No, awesome. Yeah. And it's very, you could also even start to test with these skills, like putting them in your resume or on your LinkedIn. So again, it's just playing with that algorithm and optimizing to make sure that, it is an algorithm. So we want to make sure that we're showing up. There's a lot of people looking for jobs. So if there's any trick, I've definitely tried to use them all just to test and see what works.
Yeah, that's great.
No, awesome. I'm super excited for you to try it out.
I'm hoping it leads to some success.
Yes, fingers crossed. I'm sure it will. Any additional questions before I move on? Okay, we can jump to Teal. So everyone, welcome to Teal. So Teal is relatively new, so you're not behind at all. It is a new tool, but it's a lot. It's a lot in one, but I'm just going to highlight the main ones that I'm a huge fan of. But I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with like a CRM system, which is usually like a pipeline for leads for companies for business development. But that's what Teal kind of started off as. But instead of tracking leads, you're tracking your jobs. So it shows up, it'll be like the job title, the location. It looks like a little Excel sheet within their tool. And you're able to track, when did you apply? When did you follow up? And the resume that you use to apply. And it will even create like an AI resume builder for you to create a resume that matches that specific job that you're looking for. So, because, it's a huge tip right now is that when you are applying, you should make the resume, specific to the role that you're applying, not just go very broadly. So this is a really quick way for you to update your resume to match specifically with those key terms in the job description. It will also do a cover letter as well, and even give you job description insights. So it's a very database tool, but it will look at the job description versus your resume and tell you like what % of a match it even is. So you really can and it will say like which keywords could you be even using more versus the ones that you already have. So again, it's giving you all these insights and data, and it will even help with, the backend system that a lot of bigger tech companies use to read resumes before they even come in. It is approved for that system as well. So it's reading exactly what bigger companies will be reading when they accept your resume. And then my favorite out of all of this is that when you are applying to a lot of jobs, it can be exhausting. So they have a Google Chrome extension that will actually apply to jobs for you. So when you go and it'll be like I forget the space, like one of the HR systems where it'll be like log in your name, you submit your resume, but they're like, actually, can you manually write all this information in? Well, this Google Chrome extension can do that for you and help speed up the process. Of course, you'll have to do it the first time just so it learns the inputs, but you're able to then apply to the job, and then it will be in the right top corner, and you could automatically add it to your job tracker. So then all the jobs that you've applied to, and it really works with you as you're going, and it will even connect to all the top job sites. So LinkedIn, Indeed, it is able to connect with all of them. So there's not a lot of pain points, and you're able to, seamlessly work across all these tools and just help speed up things a little bit. And of course, we utilize our North Star document to really fill in a lot of these details. And so you're not wondering, oh, I don't know, you already have this foundation to fill this in. And of course, the best part of all of this is that it is free. There is a paid tool version. I've tested that, but the free is honestly, it's really great. And if you want to do the paid, definitely recommend it, but the free is amazing too. And it just helps be another job search BFF that we're all looking for to get through the process. But just again, has anyone used Teal by chance? Or heard of it maybe? I feel like a lot of LinkedIn influencers are recently talking about it.
I've heard of other similar applications out there, but I've noticed that those have this same feature of putting the information, auto applying it to the form, but they tend to mess it up because they will switch up the information, or the formatting is wrong, and I used it once, but then I stopped using it, and I do get frustrated when you have to go into applying jobs and they make you make an account, and then you've
Yep,
given them your
again.
resume, but they still want you to write the information again. It can be very frustrating. So I'm hoping Teal works much better.
Yes, it's honestly, and since I started using it, they keep adding more features. So I think they're putting a lot of development into the tool. So I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I'm hoping this works out. Because it would save so much time for a lot of us, because we're
Mhm.
trying to like apply to a bunch of jobs
Yes. Yeah,
in one day, and it takes up so much time when you fill each form manually,
exactly.
and by like 3 or 4 you're just tired and you don't
It's
feel like applying
exhausting.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, I want to do more, but it's just this typing, and it's like you kind of start to fall asleep. You're like, yes, this is the position. I'm like, what year was that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I totally understand. And the great thing also about Teal is that they have all the resources that I can't go back, but all the resources that I have linked in the previous slide are actually from Teal. So Teal loves ChatGPT, and they constantly have like a blog that they're updating to be like, oh, ask ChatGPT this. Like, so there's a lot of creative ways to continue, and Teal is all about AI and pushing things forward. So it's a really great resource.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay. And then last but not least, I'm a huge networker. I absolutely love just chatting with people and learning about their story. But I want to recommend utilizing your network to schedule, informational interview calls to learn more about these roles and companies. So maybe if you're not even 100% sure what you want to do, that is so okay. I feel like I just maybe found out yesterday, and I'll probably change my mind tomorrow. Like, it's an evolving process, and it's okay to reach out and ask someone, can we grab like a virtual coffee? I want to learn more about how you got to where you are today. That is totally normal, and people absolutely love it because they get to talk about themselves and help other people. So it's a win-win for both parties. And then my favorite is that the power of the North Star document is that a lot of times when you are asking your network for help, or you do want a job, a lot of times they're going to ask you, well, what do you want to do? Like, they want to help you, but they're not exactly sure how. People's jaws will drop. I've seen it happen multiple times. They will drop when you're like, oh, I actually have a document ready and it has all this information. People will be so happy because it just makes it easier for them to help you. And then you can even utilize their network then too. So I know it can be a little intimidating and a little bit maybe like vulnerable, but the more you start to do it, the more used to it. And then you just get to meet all these awesome people and grow throughout the whole process. But it's definitely no worries if at first you're like, whoa, that's a lot, but it is a great test. And providing the North Star document, even if it's a little bit, I would just like cut out certain parts for people because maybe they only wanted a certain amount of information. You can summarize it. You don't have to give them everything, but it helps them be able to help you. Cool. So that is the framework. I know it kind of seems like a lot, but it's just a starting point, and it's a great place to really, align with yourself and make sure that you're going after the job that's right for you by using these tools and automating the process so you can win the algorithm and show up top for recruiters. But I can stop and see if there's any questions. I know it's a lot of information, so no worries if you need to digest. We will have a second session, but here to answer anything. And even if it's not about this, if there's other job questions, I'm happy to answer. There's no silly questions.
I had a question. It's basically like based on the current job market with
Yeah.
we had like a really long period of time where people were getting laid off, and there were also at the same time a lot of people graduating, so just entering the job market. So what has like that experience, like what's your take on it? Like what was your experience with the whole process, like the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great question. I feel like the job market especially in the past like 3 to 4 years has been up and down. It's either the job seekers market or it's the employers market, and it goes back and forth. And to be very honest with all of you, I was part of the layoff experience. I got laid off from one of my jobs. I did not see it coming, and it was really scary, but it really, that the North Star document really, was the foundation, and understanding and really asking myself these tough questions will help you be, a better representative for yourself and when you're applying to jobs, because a lot of people are looking for jobs, but when you show up to an interview and you really know what you want or where you want to grow, you're going to stand out. And it's all about just finding ways to stand out in this market, and even any market. Like, you want to shine, you want to show your strengths, and you want to, show everyone how awesome you are and how much you want to work and add value. So I think if you just show up authentically as yourself and aligned with what you're going after, it will really show, not only on paper, but in person or in those interview calls. So the market will always be up and down, but I think if you're true to yourself and you're authentic and you go after what you want, you'll always succeed.
Yeah, that's lovely. I think that's something to think about. I believe someone in our call also had a question that I
Yeah.
would also want to know the answer of.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about how can we try to reach out to an employer to ask about an update on job application and ask the reason for rejection or some feedback. Because commonly when you get like rejected for something, either you don't get a response for like weeks and they just kind of ghost you, or you get the response that, oh, we're gonna go, we found other candidates that align better to our expectations. So, and you have no idea like what went wrong. So what does one do in that position?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I have been ghosted. I can't even count how many times. And it's even worse when you like go through all those interviews and you're like, what? Like, I couldn't get a like what's over like message, but that is part of the process. And then, that's the ups and downs that come with this. For specifically for feedback, I found that actually legally, some companies cannot give you feedback. It's usually with the bigger companies. So sometimes it's truly like a legal reason they are not able to give you feedback. But there's nothing wrong with asking. So if you do receive that rejection email, I think it's always great, because you never want to burn bridges either. You say, thank you so much for your time. If it is possible, I would love to better understand how I can improve maybe my interview skills or how I showed up today, just so I can get better. Like, just framing it that, you want to keep getting better and you want to understand maybe like, how could I have done something differently? And then if they are open to letting you know, sometimes they will respond and maybe give you feedback, usually like smaller companies, but bigger companies legally are actually not able to give you that feedback, unfortunately. I really wish they could, but they can't. And then for ghosting on the side of that is going to happen. And there's no control that we can have. We can only control what we have control of. So when that does happen, it's okay to be just like sad or annoyed, but just remember that it's not personal and that it wasn't meant for you, and you're going to move on and find the right next thing that's going to align with your North Star document, because you probably don't want to work for a company that maybe ghosts you because that's not aligned with your morals or where you want to go. And it's okay to totally follow up. I've followed up probably max 3 times, and if I don't receive a response, I continue to move on. But it is absolutely okay to reach out. I usually give about a week after the interview, or when I'm done interviewing, I specifically ask, could you please share an expected timeline of when I'll be able to have a response? That way, they're setting an expectation. You can wait up to a week and then at least follow up 3 times max. And if they don't answer, again, it's not personal. It is business at the end of the day, and you're just going to continue to find the right thing for you.
Okay. That's lovely, because it gets really disheartening when you like keep getting like these rejections. And I think the person also had like, who do we reach out to if it's like a response from like, usually you get these responses from like no reply emails. So like, how do you reach out? Do you like kind of accept it, or?
So I guess in that part of the process, that's usually, I guess, you get the automated from the first. Sometimes in those emails, there may be an email that you can reach out to. I would usually wait. If like I interviewed, then I would follow up, because then you have a contact with HR. So it's you already have like that that connection of someone that you can connect with. If you have not received, another way, and I would do this maybe just from an informational perspective, when you go to the job page, you can search, a title of HR, and you can just ask someone like, hey, I did apply. I would love to learn more about the company and your experience at the company. I wouldn't reach out to them and ask, what's the update on my resume or my application, but more so treat it as like, I would love to learn more. Like, if you have time, I did happen to have applied. I haven't heard back, but I would love to learn more.
Okay, lovely. I think, yeah, that's something I've also had, like, I was curious about, because I don't want to just sit back and be like, oh, that's it. I would
Definitely.
want to know maybe some feedback or have some understanding of how to deal with that information.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
yeah, feedback is always a blessing. And sometimes, even with it depends on the company even takes in resumes, they could have the ATS system in. And if you don't have a certain amount of keywords that they're looking for, your resume may not have even reached a certain point. So there's a lot of variables at play, but I think if you approach it in a learning and you do genuinely want to learn more about the company and the role and their experience, I think you should always reach out and just try to learn more from a person after applying or before applying.
Okay. Thank you for all the
Yeah,
suggestions.
of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Any additional questions?
I know someone asked in the chat a question about how they can expand their networks.
Yes. So networking is a lot of fun. So there's many ways to do it. But one of the ways that I approached it when I first started my career is I've cold messaged so many people on LinkedIn. Also, at my first internship, I got 50 coffees with people within the organization. I came prepared with specific questions for each of them. I had like a little notebook, and I would handwrite specific questions prepared before I met them. And I just genuinely wanted to learn about their experience, how they got to where they are today, and their lessons learned. And from that experience, doing that in person, it then led me to do the LinkedIn process of just cold emailing or messaging people that maybe are working at companies I one day want to work at or have roles, and just asking like, hey, if you have 30 minutes, I would love to ask you like X, Y, and Z. Be very intentional with what you're asking and the goal of that call, but that way you can just begin to meet people, get your name out there. And maybe like and the second favorite question I love to ask is there anyone else you would recommend that I reach out to? So you just continue, it's like a cobweb, like you just continue to like kind of grow and meet new people. And not every call is going to be, the best call, but you still just get a connection and get to meet someone and learn about their story. Great. Anyone? I'm trying to see. Oh, here's the chat.
Yeah, I was just looking through. I think we've been able to get through
Oh, perfect.
through each question.
Amazing. Great. Any additional? If not, I can chat about the second session. Okay, cool. Then let's jump in. So for the next workshop, I know this was a lot of hypothetical, this is how you do it. And the second session will be a little bit more hands-on. So we will actually physically like kind of go through the North Star worksheet with those specific questions that I laid out, as well as I'm offering live LinkedIn reviews. So if you take these tips that we talked about today, we can bring your LinkedIn up live and I can kind of chat through, high level like things I really like, or maybe things that you could possibly tweak just on the fly. We will be sending out a survey to see what date works best for everyone for the week of 11/20. So keep an eye out for that. But we can have a QA session as well. So if after the session you do have more questions, we can just bring them there as well to dive in. And then last but not least, I do offer career coaching. So a lot of the stuff that we discussed today, I help with people, I help develop their North Star document, help them find the right titles that maybe they never even thought of, as well as LinkedIn reviews, resume, how to use Teal and ChatGPT, networking 101, and even just general mentoring calls. I absolutely, as you probably can tell, I love helping people and helping people get the jobs that they want to get. So I do offer services. I do have a few spots open in December and January. So if you are interested, feel free to shoot me an email or and add me on LinkedIn, of course. And I'm always on there too. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for taking some time out of your evening. It was really awesome to walk you through this, and I hope this makes an impact in your job search.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I do want to say we just pushed out a really quick little poll to everyone. So if you want to give some feedback, feel free to throw it in the poll. We try to collect feedback on workshops just to make sure that you know, down the line, these workshops are engaging and that you learn something from it. Also realized I didn't introduce myself. Hi, my name is Sophie Lindberg, and I'm the Executive Director of Claim Your Potential. And I want to say a big thank you to Megan for coming on and for talking about this, because, oh my goodness, the amount of sticky notes I have off to the side of notes and things that I need to do and things that I need to talk to a couple of my mentees about, because, oh man, so many tidbits to take away. But with that being said, thank you so much. And if you can all just take a moment to answer that feedback, it is 100% anonymous. So, you know, we don't collect names. We just want to know if we're doing our job right. So thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you.